Hello everyone, welcome to the Noah Jew podcast where I talk about my unfiltered opinions. Today's topic is banned books. What do I believe about the topic of banned books? I believe that books should not be banned for adults. People are entitled to believe what they want to believe, and in order to believe in what they want to believe, they need to have access to different types of information. However, when it comes to the classroom setting, there comes complications, and there are certain books that should not be allowed. And let me elaborate on this further, but first thing I want to talk about is just banning books in general. So I know about the topic of banning books a little bit too well because as a Korean, a part of my country is censored from many different texts, and they use this censorship to prevent people from getting revolutionary thoughts. Because Kim Jong-un does not want a revolution to happen, his best tactic is to barricade the intellectual information people can have. And so it's kind of the same situation here. If we are banning books to prevent people from learning about what they want to learn about, that makes us no different from a North Korea situation. And evidence from the American Library Association, they say that libraries should provide materials and information presenting all points of view on current and historical issues. Materials should not be proscribed or removed because of partisan or doctrine disapproval. Because of one party's beliefs, if we only ban books and keep books that cater to the party's ideas, we have a population that is brainwashed and limited to valuable information. And now you may be wondering, Noah, you said that some books should be banned in school curriculums, but you also think that books should not be banned at all. Here's the thing. When it comes to school and school curriculums, there's a lot of complexity that arises. For example, parental permission or attempt to incorporate different perspectives and views, right? And all of these things come into play when it comes to school curriculum. I personally believe that no book should be banned in school libraries except for books that have pornographic images, as according to federal law, any transfer or attempt to transfer such material to a minor under the age of 16, including over the internet, is punishable under federal law. And when we have naked women, although it probably might not be put in a sexual context, if we still expose children to body parts, it can leave a bad image on their mind and lead them to do other things. As unfortunately, the average age of kids who are exposed to porn is 9 years old, which is way too low. And if we have books that have pictures of that, it might give them ideas and help and make them search up stuff like that as well. And so these types of books that have these images, they could make different copies of them and cover them up, right? Having body parts out and about is unnecessary, and a message can still be conveyed with body parts being covered. And in addition to that, we need to talk about the LGBTQ community when it comes to banned books, as 41% of banned books are related to the LGBTQ community. But when talking about the LGBTQ community, you cannot not talk about the religious community as well. In the book 120 banned books, the Bible and the Quran are also banned, right? So the reason why I think that books should be banned, certain books should be banned, and not all books should be unbanned, is that when we have banned books put into the curriculum that is talking about the LGBTQ community, there are religious families who might not be comfortable having their children learn about these topics. As the Pew Research Center says, 64% of Americans identifies as Christians, and Christianity is a religion that generally doesn't support the LGBTQ community. In addition to that, there's religions like Islam and Judaism who also do not support the LGBTQ community. And so when talking about parental supervision, the NC Senate Bill 49 says that parents have legal rights with regards to their children's education, including the following: the right to consent or withhold consent for participation in reproductive health and safety education programs, and the right to seek a medical or religious exemption from immunization requirements. And so these types of things give parents powers to control what happens with their children's education. So when it comes to incorporating LGBTQ books into the curriculum, you cannot ignore all the religious families that might be uncomfortable with their children learning about LGBTQ community. Comparably, LGBTQ members will also be uncomfortable with the idea that the Bible and Quran are also part of the school curriculum. If you're actively teaching the Bible and the Quran in school curriculum, that would make the LGBTQ community also uncomfortable. So in both sides, we see that if we unban these controversial books, both sides are uncomfortable and both sides are not okay with the idea, right? So when we actively teach these things, right, it can be considered as indoctrination. And so when it comes to incorporation of the LGBTQ books in the school curriculum, it is only fair if we incorporate the Bible and the Quran. And if we only incorporate the Bible and the Quran in the school curriculum, then it will be unfair to the LGBTQ community and vice versa. So the best solution is to not incorporate any controversial books and still have them in the school libraries for kids to learn about them on their own. But when you have a part of the school curriculum, it can be a little bit trickier because you're forcing these kids to read a book that they may not want to read. But still allow them to be read in school public libraries to promote the intellectual freedom of our children of the future.